All right, guys, today we're going to talk about one of the most arduous parts of the mortgage business, and that is paperwork and documents. And I think I speak for most mortgage agents when we say there is often way too much paperwork. However, that said, there is a big reason for that. And generally, it's coming from the lender's position. The lender is doing the very best they can to make sure that they protect their investment, because when they provide a mortgage, they are making an investment, and B, they're protecting their shareholders and their interests. And part of why the paperwork is so arduous at times is because they have to assess proper risk. They have to make sure that the income that you are stating is provable and viable, and your ability to make payments is okay. They have to make sure the property is viable. They have to make sure there's no taxes owing on the property, or that you owe back taxes, because when it comes to collections, well, the government gets their money first all the time. So they want to make sure that tax records are up to date. They want to make sure that your credit is solid, so they'll do a credit check. That's pretty standard. And we'll get a copy of your credit report showing all liabilities that you owe, all debts that you owe. And then as well, they want to make sure that down payment, if you're doing a purchase, they want to make sure that the funds to provide the down payment are available on hand and have been on hand for a while. And all of a sudden, your bank account doesn't just show like, a $40,000 deposit on a Wednesday before closing. The reason for that is anti-money laundering laws that were enacted to prevent people laundering money through real estate. So they want to make sure the money's been in the account for about 90 days or so prior to the purchase. So let's start with a couple of basic documents. If you are an employee and you've got a standard job where you collect a paycheck, the general basic paperwork you're going to need for this, you're going to need a job letter from your employer stating your length of tenure, your guaranteed hours or guaranteed wage, and then any bonuses or benefits that you may get on top of that. You're going to need your last 2 years of T4 slips, your last 2 years of notice of assessments, and you're going to need your two most recent pay stubs. That's sort of the general way we assess income to prove income ahead. Lender may ask for further documents. If you're a business for self person or you're in business for yourself, we will need your T1 general, full tax return, not just the summary, the full tax return. We'll need your T1 general for that. And sometimes, depending on the situation, lenders will ask for bank statements from your account or your business account showing deposits going in, meaning that, people know that was business for self people. Sometimes you'll have a slow month and then a larger month. They want to be able to look at a history of payments going to your account showing that you do have income coming in the business, even though it may not have shown up on your taxes for this current year because you haven't paid taxes yet. And the third scenario is that if you're incorporated, and generally the two big documents that you need if you're incorporated are, we need to see your articles of incorporation and we need to see your full business financials. That's kind of the general overview. There's more to it, but the lender will be a little more specific when it comes to people that are incorporated. And a lot of the time, that's people that are also business for self too. So let's talk a little bit about some of the property documents that you might need. For the lender to assess the risk in the property, they want to make sure that they want to see a mortgage statement so they can identify exactly how much mortgage is on there. Because if we're buying out another mortgage or paying it off, refinancing, for example, they want to make sure they can verify the amount that's being refinanced. They can also see the current financial institution, your account number that they're paying out as well too. As well, they want to make sure that you've got a current property tax bill from your municipality showing that there's no taxes owing. Remember, when taxes are owing, who gets paid first? Government gets paid first. So they also want to see an appraisal sometimes, depending if it's a purchase. If it's a refinance, definitely an appraisal. Not necessarily always on a purchase, but they will likely want to get an appraisal so they get a proper market value of what the property is worth at that time. Excuse me. When it comes to down payment, we want to make sure that, as we mentioned, money is in your account. So they will usually ask for 90 days bank statements showing the cash has been on hand for at least 90 days. Sometimes with closing costs, they'll request the same thing. They want to see a bank statement showing 1.5 to 4% of the purchase price is on hand in cash to make sure that you've got enough cash to close the purchase at the end of it. And again, when it comes to tax documents and any statements of any kind, this is something weird the CRA does. When you go to get your account, sometimes when you go to print it or if you go to save it, sometimes it doesn't show the account holder on it. So anytime they ask you for statements, be it for income, for the property, for any bills that are being paid out, like if we're paying off a line of credit or paying off any credit cards or anything like that, you want to make sure that those statements show the name of the account holder, the account number, and the financial institution, as well as the current date and current balance. They want to make sure it's as accurate as possible. So Pardon me, that's just a little bit of an overview into paperwork that you're going to be required if you are going out to find a mortgage, whether it's for a purchase or a refinance or a switch or a transfer from lender to lender. Your new lender is going to want to see all of these documents. So be prepared, be ready. If at all cost, if you can put it in PDF format, that helps everybody involved, although some people like to take pictures on their phone. There's apps out there in the Apple iStore and the Google Store that can convert JPEGs and PNG files to Adobe Acrobat files, which makes everybody's life easier as well too. But we'll deal with whatever comes along the pipe. If you have any questions, reach out anytime. By the way, if you've missed any videos or you have a topic that maybe you're not sure if we've covered, check my YouTube channel, Joel J.M. Scott, and there's an archive of videos there you can check out. And of course, if you've got mortgage questions anytime, please give me a shout. We'll be happy to chat.